There you go. There you go. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to Creative Emotions. I am your host, Vaquita Q Taylor, and I thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. Do you know every Wednesday, unless like last Wednesday, we have technical difficulties? We are here in the building. Thank you guys so much for joining. This is a live show. You can call in at 313-266-2811. What you're going to get on this show? It's motivation, information. It's going to be transparency, empowerment. You're going to get these good vibes, and there's really nothing you can do about that. It ain't nothing you can do about that. So, this Friday, guess what I got going on? You know, Poetry and Conversations is going down 8 p.m. to 11. It is 21573 Grand River. We have our feature this Friday, Miss Iris. She is the feature. She come and she show love to everybody. So I'm like, listen, y'all better come show her some support, honey. She be everywhere supporting everybody. So shout out to Iris. See you this Friday. It is a $10 cover, but you know, that ain't nothing to a player. You better come on in the room. And y'all better get on down there this Friday, 8 p.m. to 11. Again, this is a live show. Make sure you share this with your family and your friends. This show is about being the plug and what that looks like. My guest today is a true definition of if you want it, go and get it. So I want to welcome to the show the founder of Empower You Ventures, LLC, Detroit Metro Plug, Mr. Charles McKay. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you, none other than Q.
Oh,
right.
you doing the bars like I did?
I'm trying to do bars like you.
I want to welcome you to the show. I thank you so much for being here. Congrats are in order.
Thank you.
You have hit a milestone birthday and graduation.
Yes, thank you.
And that just goes to show that there is constant movement as long as you're going in the right direction. Without a vision, the people perish.
Right.
And you had a vision.
Exactly.
And you keep moving.
Yes.
And so I just want to commend you. I want to give you your flowers while you can definitely smell them.
Thank you.
So how do you feel about starting different things? Because like how long did it take for you to get your degree?
Well, let me start with just this kind of new season I'm in. It started during the beginning stages of the pandemic.
Okay.
When we wasn't aware about what was going on, you know. Was it airborne?
Yeah.
You know, we was wearing gloves everywhere we went
Man.
to. We was spraying down door handles. We was wiping down food.
Right.
Fruit, vegetables, and
Leaving your clothes outside.
right, exactly. And you know, and then being on social media, there was a lot of people that I knew personally or knew whoever's a local person, whether it was an elected official or somebody of prominence that was dying from this this virus.
Yeah.
And I was at this stage in my life where I wasn't, you know, I had to think about my own life. Like, man, if I don't make it, you know, I was evaluating what I've done, and I wasn't satisfied with where my life was at that time. You know, I was going through a second separation, divorce. Was disappointed just how that turned out, and I take responsibility for. You know, I promise you. I would say 90% of what went wrong, I take that responsibility.
Wow, that's huge. Give it up for him.
Yeah, just taking responsibility. But just I wasn't satisfied in my relationships. I wasn't satisfied where I was at financially. I was employed. You know, I wasn't a bum on the street, but I just felt stagnant. And I made a promise to myself and God that if I get through this, I want to see some changes in my life and just have a better second half of my whatever life that God allows me to have.
That's so good. That's so good. And when you say second half, and you talking about the various versions that you had to go through, the different seasons that you've been through, and now since you come to a place of learning and understanding yourself, which I feel like we all need to do. We need to understand where we are, evaluate where you are and where you feel like it is you need to go to be able to navigate. And again, just making God that you know, that foundation.
Right.
You know, to what is it am I supposed to be doing
Right.
at that point? Especially we had no control over what was happening during that pandemic. And even now I see people still gloved up, mask on.
Right.
Like I still see people, you know, with this guarded perspective, and it, you know, it hindered a lot of people. Some people still don't even come outside.
Right, right.
And so when you think about that, you decided at that point you were going to school.
Right.
You was finishing some things.
Yes.
And so what was it that was like, okay, this is what I'm about to do?
Yeah, so when I kind of reevaluated my life and I thought about if I didn't make it, what would people say about me? So I kind of wanted to re-engineer my life from my funeral. I know it sounds kind of weird.
Wow.
So I wanted 3 areas that I wanted to focus on, and I call them the 3 I's.
Okay.
I wanted to be intentional with relationships. I wanted to be influential in terms of providing positive vibes and contributions to my community.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be impactful and have a sphere of influence that
That's
provided
real good.
impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
And so during the pandemic, I launched the business called Empower You Ventures, which is focusing on empowering other people. And we launched the Detroit Metro Plug podcast. And if you notice, the podcast is really not about me. It's really to showcase
everybody
local
else.
people from Detroit, in particular in the area of, I call them difference makers, in the area of entrepreneurship and community involvement. And I wanted to create a stage where I can have an impact in the community where they can share their story and share their positive contributions. Because a lot of times in the local media or even the national media or social media, we
that
hear
part.
negative stories and, you know, ratchet stuff. But I wanted to
All the
provide
time.
I wanted to provide something. Hey, there's some positive things that people are doing in the city of Detroit, and so I launched that podcast during the pandemic, and then when people started to feel more comfortable coming outside, you know, I was hosting networking events.
Okay.
And just wanted to have a way for people to connect. So the theme of the podcast is connections matter. I believe that in order for us to grow and prosper and go into other levels in our life, that it's important that we connect with others. We can't do anything by ourselves. Growth happens in community.
Yeah, for sure. That's
as the word
so
says,
true.
as iron sharpens iron, we sharpen one another. So in order
Come
for
on
us to
here.
go to another level, it's important that we do it in community
Yes.
and in an environment where it's connections matter. So that's where I came up with the plug. I know that's kind of a street term, but
Hey, you know
But,
there is a street term for it.
I wanted to be the plug for resources, opportunities, and connections so that we can grow and reach our full potential and our best versions of ourselves.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's what we need in the city. Like not,
Yes.
you know, all the negative stuff because they know negativity is what sells, of course.
Right.
So that's what
Right.
we get fed constantly. Do you always complete things that you start? You know that has plagued us all, right?
Right.
We have these good ideas. God give us different ideas. We're like, oh my
Right.
God, I could do this. I can start this, and then I can link off to this. And so when you have that ambition, you know, do you find yourself starting things and not finishing them, or do you start what you know you'll finish?
Well, if I go back in my younger years, it took me a minute to finish my undergraduate degree. It was almost 11 years.
Oh wow!
So when I started school in 1991 at Wayne State University, I went to Henry Ford High School. Shout out to the Trojans.
Shout out to the Trojans.
Shout out to
okay?
all those from the West Side.
Trojan in the building.
So I barely got. I'm gonna be honest with you. I barely got out of high school. I just got grades because I
Army
attended
crawling
class.
through that boy.
But they had a special program to attend Wayne State called I forgot, it was like Upper Bound, one of those programs.
Okay.
So you started in the summer. You had to take these classes, math and reading and writing and stuff, so you can write college papers. But I wasn't used to that environment, so it took me a while to adjust, and it took me 11 years. Sometimes sometimes I had to take classes over 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to write papers and
You
all
ain't
that
give
stuff
up,
that I
though.
didn't,
You
but
ain't give up.
I made a decision that, just being from Detroit, you just got it's a little grimy. You got to have the attitude I will until.
Wait
I
a
will
minute
until.
now.
I will until.
I will
Until I finish. Yeah. So if I got to
That's
take
so
classes over
good.
3 times,
Yeah.
because once you finish one thing, it gives you confidence to finish other things in life.
That's true.
And so
And
you
it
have
don't,
to-
it don't matter like where it goes. And
right.
so that was the thing
And
for
guess
me.
what? So I started in 1991.
Yeah.
At the time, the president was Bush Sr. When I graduated, his son was president.
Oh, wow.
But guess what, though? Here's the funny thing. It took me 11 years, but whenever I show that degree or if I go on an interview or somebody asks me where I went to college, nobody ever asked me how long it took.
Wow.
They just say, oh, congratulations.
Congratulations. Because
They
it
never
don't even
ask you,
matter
oh,
at
man,
that
did
point.
it took you started in 91, you didn't finish in 2002. Nobody never asked you how long it took.
They don't.
And it was important to go through that journey because it built so much character. The journey is more important than the destination.
That's the whole truth.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy most about living. It's like, be present. Everybody be so ready to, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get there. I'm ready to, like, just enjoy the journey. That's how you learn. You're going to go through different things, but it helps us to learn. But for me, I would have so many good ideas, and I start, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do a CD. Then I put it to the side. Then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be doing hair, so I'm doing hair. And I'm like, I'm tired of doing hair. Then I'm doing something else. And the Holy Spirit told me 3 years ago,
right.
finish what you start.
Yes.
And that has been my motto from then on. Like, I am going to get things going, build the momentum, pass things along,
Right.
Start it so that we can, build legacy for the people that's coming after us, the people that's going to be moving forward, like these podcasts. Everybody is all into podcasts. Everybody, you have something to say, right? And so this will always be a platform that you can build what it is that you're bringing, what it is that you want to see in your communities, and then have somebody come and the standard is already set. And so if I wanted somebody to come take over Creative Emotions and what it is that I talk about, it's still going to be motivation, information, encouragement. It's still going to be the same thing, transparency, good vibes. And so if that person can't bring that, then it won't be passed on. So I just feel like that's why it was like, finish what you start. Because you never know, like, where things can go. And that goes for the listening audience. Whoever is listening and watching, what you start, it has a purpose. Just make sure you finish it. And a lot of times, again, I think I talked about this a few shows back, that it may not be all grandeur. It may not make it to the highest of the high, but you can say you finished it and it's going down in your legacy, period. They always going to say, oh, yeah, my mom, my children can be like, my mom was, she's an author, she's a host, she's a life coach, whatever it is. Start it and finish it. And so that's a real thing. So what does Metro Plug mean to you?
All right.
Like, does it your baby? Like, what does it mean to you now?
So it's one of the businesses under Detroit Metro Plug Podcast is powered by Empower You Ventures. So Empower You Ventures is the parent company, and the podcast is my gift back to the city of Detroit to celebrate what people are doing in the city of Detroit on their positive contributions. So that's just kind of my gift back to the city to kind of document what's going on, and also to celebrate what people are doing in a positive way, whether it's in community leadership, maybe an author, poet, whether it's a business owner. And so we're approaching 76 episodes for the past 2 years.
Nice.
And
that's consistency.
Yes, you were on the podcast as well.
I was, and I prepared for it too.
Yes,
I don't take nobody's stuff like it ain't important. I definitely prepared for it.
And I made intention to be intentional positivity. I mean, during that time, the way the social media algorithms and work, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. So if you get more engagement, and the more engagement can be based upon negativity. So I saw a lot of people grow their channel talking about,
things that's negative to
things
get it
that's
going.
negative.
And
so I
I'm
knew
not willing to do that.
So I made a conscious decision that I wanted to be positive, and just let the channel grow at a steady, slower pace. But overall, I can look at myself in the mirror and know I did some good.
That's good.
And not try to tear people down.
be able to sleep
Right.
at night.
Exactly.
So you bringing people.
Exactly.
I'm bringing the news. You know,
Right,
sitting
right,
there
right,
I'm not
right.
about to waste my energy.
Right.
How do you feel like Detroit Metro Plug has been received?
Overall, I think we've been received well. You know, I'm still trying to let people know what we're doing. We got some exciting projects. You know, our next episode, we interviewed them last year. They're coming back. It's representative from Comcast. They have the Comcast
Nice.
Rise program that launches June the 1st. And basically, this is resources for minority, black-owned entrepreneurs, free grants, $5,000.
Oh, wow.
If your business is located in Detroit, Hamtramck, or Highland Park, it's for people of color. And so they're coming back. And, you know, I just want to share valuable information, you know, to be the plug, to connect people with resources and opportunities. So,
That's what's up. I need to know where that information, where that
yeah, you
where
got
that
it.
information at.
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
gotta be on. We gotta watch the show.
You got to watch the show, but you got to also, you know, you want to make sure
Yes.
your business is set up, your LLC, your EIN, your website, just some basic stuff.
Yeah, I got all that.
Yeah, if you got all that, and your business is in those
It's
three
in
cities.
Detroit.
Okay, well you could qualify. You can. Last year they was giving $10,000, and their goal is to give over $1 million. Well, last year they gave over $1 million in 10,000 grants to 100 entrepreneurs in those three cities.
Wow.
And they're going to bring on guests from last year who received those grants. Now,
Wow. So your
imagine
show
you get 10 racks, and you ain't got to pay it back. You can, you know, buy more equipment or pay for marketing
That's
or
what I'm saying.
whatever.
Like,
Get your logo
listen.
set up, your whatever.
So these are the type of resources and the type of
Yeah.
people that you have on your show.
Yes.
What led you to help entrepreneurs? Because you know, sometimes it's unfortunate that we are in a it's
I
about
just-
me type of society. So to think about other people in that way and to showcase and broadcast other people's businesses, that's huge. And that's kind of what we need. So
Yeah.
what led you to help entrepreneurs in particular?
Well, I wanted to, you know, like I said earlier, just reevaluating my life. I wanted to have a great impact, and I really wanted to be a vehicle to help people in the city of Detroit with resources, financial literacy, and empowerment. Because I believe our people, we can have more control over our destiny if we're financially empowered, and I believe in ownership, owning our own digital property, IP, physical property, whatever, and control our own destiny. And so I was just motivated to be a vehicle. And it's really almost like a spiritual mission that I follow the tradition of John the Baptist,
Okay.
who basically paved the way for Christ to come. And so
Ooh-wee.
that's
You better come
so
on
my
here now,
business
sir.
is really a spiritual thing. I just set stages for whoever.
Yeah.
And my goal is to, you know, I don't necessarily have to be up front. I could be
Yeah.
in the back. But my goal was to create a stage to help people, to put people on.
That's so good.
My passion is to be like a local Oprah Winfrey, you know, somebody who's starting a business
get
and I want to create a stage and help them get on. Because I believe we can all eat. I believe we can have a good living by doing good to others. And I think we
agree.
can all eat, and there's enough resources and opportunity for all of us to do well.
That is the whole truth.
Yeah.
And once we get that mindset,
Right.
like really understanding that we need each other,
Yes.
that takes all of it to another level. You know, if you are watching, you want to call in, you have a question for Mr. Charles, or if you want to just say something about being the plug. Are you the plug? You can call in at 313-266-2811. When you think about being the plug, the definition, according to the Urban Dictionary, it's a term used to describe someone who is a resource for obtaining something valuable that would otherwise be difficult to obtain. And so when you think about what Mr. Charles is doing, it's kind of the same thing. A lot of resources are there. We just have to go look for them. But what he's doing is bringing them to the forefront. So all you have to do is get on the podcast, listen to the different people that he brings. And so if you are just joining, we're talking about being the plug. I have my host, Mr. Charles McKay. My guest, and he's talking about being the plug. his podcast is Detroit Metro Plug, and he brings entrepreneurs, he brings businessmen and women on to talk about what it is they have going on, small businesses and the like, and just to be able to put those resources out there. So they are there. We just have to go and put the first foot forward and just saying you want the help, you need the help. And especially with the resources we have as far as social media. You can put one question out there. You're going to get flooded with their cousins, their uncles, their brothers, or whatever it is that you need. And so, again, I think I received a gig by you posting my name under someone's post that said they were looking for poets.
Right,
and so
right.
it's like, hey, check out Vaquita. So I can personally say, like,
Wow.
that's what you do.
Right.
You know?
I'm a
And
people connector. That's what I do. Yeah.
People connect, the plug.
The
right?
connect, yeah, the plug. I connect
It's so like it go
people
together.
and resources. Yeah, yeah.
People and resources.
I didn't know that. I think I saw Dr. Well, I always call her Doctor
Yeah.
Camila Johnson
Yeah,
make a comment
yeah.
about the poetry. Yeah.
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 Yeah, she told me to, be motivational. So I just tried to keep
Okay.
it light and be motivation. I really want to go in and because my thing is making myself the victim so people can feel the emotion behind the poetry.
Wow.
But because that was so sensitive, that space, I didn't know if that's, what she wanted me to do. So I was just real light with the motivation. But then I see somebody else, I was like, oh, I could have brought what I was going to bring. But
Right,
it was
right.
all good. Everybody clapped, everybody loved it. And hopefully somebody was blessed by it. So, it was all good. So what do you feel can take networking to another level?
Here in Detroit or just in general?
Detroit, let's talk about the D.
Wow. Well,
Let's talk about the D. I
I'm
want to give
trying
a
to-
shout out
I
to
mean,
everybody
it's
who's
some-
watching.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you guys for watching.
I think it's starting to change a little bit. I think the pandemic kind of opened up people to be more open to collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
I can only speak from my experience. I think it takes time. I think this is the feel. I can't speak for everybody, but sometimes I feel like there's a competitive spirit.
It is.
And, somebody may have information and withhold it because they like, well, I don't want them to get on because they're going to
That
take,
is messed
they're going to mess up my money. So, and then I've been a few times to Atlanta, and I don't live there. I just visited, but just
Okay.
there was just so many people that was willing to share stuff. And I
It's like,
mean,
we
I'm
gotta
talking
do
about,
better.
I can name 10 people that I know, I don't know them personally, but I know of
That was ready.
8, 9 figures that they be sharing stuff and they be networking. And there's just,
Wow.
but here it's like, oh man,
Like, they hoard it. They
well, I
hoard
don't
the
know. I don't
information.
know if they're afraid that if I tell you the hookup or the plug or whatever, or the merch guy where I get my merch or something,
Wow.
that you're gonna get on and not me, So,
We got to do better, people.
so I'm just hoping. I think people are getting more open to like, look, we got to collaborate and do things. So
yeah.
but it's taking time, and then people have been taking advantage of their generosity, so I can see why
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are guarded. So when
Yeah, for
when I go out doing things and people be kind of confused, like what's your motivation? What you trying to do? And I was like, man, I'm
they
really
looking
just
like, what you out here?
yeah. We were like, what's your angle? You got you got
Wow,
a little,
like you got some motives?
kickback or But no, my motivation, like I said, I'm just trying to create stages to help people get on. I follow in the tradition
Yeah.
of John the Baptist. It's a spiritual purpose.
It's
I'm
a
just creating
spiritual
this.
journey.
Yeah, I'm trying to like,
Put
yo,
them
this
pebbles
is.
down them rocks.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll be pointing people to other people. Yeah, talk to this person. Talk to this person
Yeah.
because I just think that,
So you are the embodiment of the plug.
yeah, I try to. Yeah, and then I consume a lot of information. Whether
Yeah.
I went to grad school and I celebrate that, but my goal was to use that information from business school to
Yeah.
just empower our people.
Yeah, that's good.
And so everything that I've tried to learn and study, if I learn something
Yeah.
about information, about marketing or whatever information, any class I take, I try to
just
help
share
people.
it.
People can, I don't be like, oh yeah, you gotta pay me this and that. It's just, and I'm not knocking people who do business coaching or
yeah,
have
for sure.
masterminds or stuff like that, but I'm just here
I mean,
just to
because
serve
the
and help.
information is like you did the work, so I can
Right.
see like telling
Yeah.
people a few nuggets
Yeah,
here
the
and there.
worker's worth their wages, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but there's ways we can collaborate and elevate.
and not have that spirit of comparison. Like
Yeah.
what you do and what I do is totally different, and that's so okay.
Right.
We may be in the same field, we may be doing the same thing,
Right.
but we totally different.
Totally different.
And once we get that mind frame, I
Yeah.
think that competitive spirit kind of die down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, people are driven by what they feel like they're going to show somebody else. I'm going to show them. Why
Right.
why does that have to be the gas that gets you going?
Right.
To be like, oh, I'm gonna show them, whether it's your family, your ex, your friends, somebody else is doing the same thing you doing. Why does that have to be the energy that you move forward with? Just move forward, because guess what? You got another opportunity on this side of the ground, and we can just start there.
Right.
We can really just start there, because some people
Right.
ain't make it.
Right.
So
right.
I understand everybody's in different places, different spaces where they are. But my goal is, every time I see somebody in those places where they're not operating in their power, whether it's their words, their thoughts, understanding, how powerful they are, that's when I use what I have spiritually and what I know to be able to encourage my brothers and sisters, to let them know, like, no, don't say that about yourself. Don't do that. Wait. Like, I just feel like, yes, we all grown. But if you know something, if you see me operating in something less than what I am, please tap me on the shoulder. And once we get to that place and you're more open to receive, I believe that verse is better to give to receive. It's so much deeper. It's nothing monetary, I feel like. It is the information you give. You giving out information, you might go out and you get favor because of it. It's not always monetary what we get back. And so, again, if you're just joining, we're talking about being the plug and what that looks like. And, my guest has his podcast, and he's literally being the plug. But when you think about you being the plug, what are you even plugged up to? What around you? What are you plugged up to? And so when you think about the entrepreneurship, this road, do you feel like the same resources that are available to you when you started were available, you just wasn't trying to go get them?
Yeah, some stuff I knew about, some stuff I researched. And so it's just, now with technology and, you got your good Googles and going to network meetings, and now you got ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff. You can find out. I was inspired by the guys from New York and Atlanta, Troy and Rashard from Earn Your Leisure, and what they were doing, 19 Keys and I Am Cash and all those. I don't know if I'm naming all these people. I was listening to them before they started their podcast in their living room with just iPhones. And now they doing, of course, the big events and stuff and financial literacy.
Yeah.
So I was inspired by them to, do my part here, but for the city of Detroit and helping local entrepreneurs with resources and stuff. And so once I find out about stuff, I try to get people to talk about it on the podcast, or I just share with people I know, or I send them information. But if you don't mind, I wanted to talk about that whole, you were talking about the comparison thing.
Okay.
And I really think that's the issue. I think comparison is a thief of joy. We shouldn't compare.
Thief of joy.
Yeah, we compare ourselves to other people. Everybody's journey is unique.
Yeah.
And one of the issues is that because of social media, we can kind of see people's journey because people post their highlights. And I think that's why a lot of people compare. Like, for example, we both have podcasts. We can look and see what our subscribers are or whatever. And you begin to compare, like, oh, man, they got a little bit more than me. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thief of joy. And I think everybody's journey is their own journey, and you'll get to your spot when it's time, and stop, comparing people and following people that you envy and jealous of.
Yeah.
And maybe you need to unfollow them if they putting you in a bad mood.
Right. If they giving you that type of energy,
that type of
just
vibe.
go ahead on and
so we got to be careful with comparing ourselves. And
so Leon Johnson said competition can be healthy. And so, Leon, if you can elaborate on how you feel like competition can be healthy. I feel like, that's your perspective, is to respect it. But competition, when you looking at another person and that is your drive to do better, I don't think that that's healthy. I think that's comparison. And when you compare your life, we are on two different paths. We come two different places. We come from two different experiences. And so what drives me may not drive you. So I may get up a little earlier than you. I may go hard. Then it's no competition for real, because to me, that's the best time in the morning. So you already, behind. if you think about it like that, so if we try to, compare and be in competition in that way, I think it's not effective. And so if you can elaborate on that, Leon, I would appreciate it. I definitely will, talk about that a little more. But, I get how what you're saying as far as in races and different things like that help you to, build your momentum, work harder. But the comparison, when you're thinking about entrepreneurship, when you're thinking about the business mindset and connection, because connection matters, when you're thinking about that, it is not healthy for us as individuals because we work better together. But if I feel like I'm in competition with you, I'm not going to even be humble enough to come ask you, hey, can we collab? Because I'm automatically going to feel like, oh, well, I'm doing my thing, they doing theirs. And it shouldn't be like that. We all bring something different to the table. And once we understand that, that's when we build those coalitions. That coalition is, you good at this, you good at that, we want the same thing, you good at that. We all come together? Man, what? Right. That's when we make major things happen. Shout out to the Millionaire Women. That's the investment group that I joined.
Right.
These women are dynamic. Everybody in their own way, finding properties in the city. We're all putting our money together, investing in these properties and doing our thing. And so just being able to be in that environment, everybody's still their own person doing their own thing. And so, you got to think about that. So I'm waiting for you, Leon. When you say competition can be healthy, you actually can call in 313-266-2811 because I want to hear your view on that, like how you feel about that. Because like I said, I feel like it's better to give than receive. That's giving love, that's giving energy, that's giving time, that's giving money, your resources. Then you just taking from everybody.
I like to share my perspective on that. I think sometimes people, when they think of competition, I think of sports, win and take off. Like, we got the finals. We got Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat and the Joker from the Denver Nuggets in the finals. And so that's a competition between two teams, and they get the prize of the finals trophy.
Right.
But when it comes to economics, I think about some friends of mine. We read a book together called.
Hold on, we got a call.
I think you're gonna call in.
Hi, welcome to the show. Who am I speaking with?
This is Leon Johnson. How you doing?
Thank you so much for calling in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thank you.
You told me to elaborate, so I said I'll call in to elaborate.
I appreciate it.
No, when I say competition is healthy, it's because sometimes you need to have something in front of you to have to go and strive for. So it's not a competition like I'm jealous of you. It's a competition like it's teaching me how to be better. And unfortunately, in our society, we don't have things to teach us how to be better.
Okay.
Like the brother was saying, we just not coming into a lot of them guys that he was mentioning. A lot of people didn't know about them until recently, till it became more of an open platform to know about them.
Yeah.
So the competition now is that, okay, if I can at least get to that bar, maybe I can get to the next bar. But it's not with jealousy. It's with contentment. Being contentment, saying, okay, I'm content where I'm at, but this is what I'm striving for.
Okay.
So it's like a finish line.
Okay. So when you think about, so it's really not a competition. It is you looking to, like you're admiring somebody else, like where they are, and striving to get where they are. Because when I think about competition in that sense, it's like, they got 1,000. I'm about to get 2,000. That's competition.
But it's not a bad thing. But it's not a bad thing if you understand. I'm not jealous of the person. I want 2,000 because you had 1,000. That's not nothing bad unless I'm doing something detrimental to when I get my 2,000 to help you get 1,000. So you would have 2,000.
Right.
That's when it becomes detrimental.
Okay. I definitely can see that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you calling in.
Thank you, Leon.
Y'all got some good information. I'm watching.
All right.
Thank you. I told you you're supposed to be posting every week.
Here she goes.
What you been doing? I love you. Hopefully you can come out on Friday. Poetry and conversation.
For sure. I'll be there.
All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So that's a different perspective.
Right.
You know, when you look at it that way, I just don't put nobody in my view. I don't see anybody in my view that I can say I want that, because you never know what people have to go through or have been through to get where they are. I don't look at somebody material gain, the social media gain, financial gain. I don't know what they've been through to get what they have. So I can just say or go off of like how I want to live, what I desire, what I want, what I feel like will take me there. But I get exactly what you're saying, Leon. Again, I appreciate you calling in. But yeah, you can go ahead and finish. I know
What I was saying in regards to Leon's contribution to this conversation about competition, I was comparing it to a sport, winner take all. Mm-hmm. But me and a couple of friends of mine, a couple years ago, we read Dr. Carl Anderson's book on cooperative powernomics, and just talk about how it's important for us to have cooperative economics.
Okay.
And a lot of communities here in the city of Detroit, whether it's the Chaldean Arab community or the Jewish community, they practice cooperative economics.
They cleaning up.
And unfortunately, some of the communities made a lot of money off of our consumer spending.
They cleaning up.
And I'm just trying to come to a place where we can encourage each other to.
So we can get on that side.
Yeah, we can do cooperative economics and not see somebody as a threat. But I understand what Leon is saying. When he talked about being inspired to achieve a level of someone else or even go past them. Some people in the business community call that the law of exposure. So when when I saw the millionaires in Atlanta, I was like, "It's people getting on like this." It made me like, wait a minute. It put belief in me. Like, okay, I can do this too. Okay. So I call it the law of exposure and aspiring to get to their level or beyond. Not necessarily in a way where I'm just trying to tear them down, or I'm gonna be, had a Rico mentality.
I want that.
Yeah.
You said the Rico.
Rico from Belly. He saw the what's the name?
He came trying to get what he want.
Yeah. So
not working for it. Mm-hmm. That is a mess. But yeah, I do understand that. Again, I want to give a shout out to everyone who's watching. If you are just joining, please go back. It was some valuable information that is given. I want him to give you his podcast information so you can, in fact, tune in. Is it tomorrow?
No, we do either Sunday or Monday. So the next show will be Monday.
Okay.
We go live with Comcast Rise about the grant opportunities for Detroit-owned business owners.
Listen, when I tell you, soon as you step into what you're looking for, it can be overwhelming. Because it'd be like, oh, you ready?
Right.
Oh, you ready? It's coming. And so it's like, oh my God, it can definitely get overwhelming sometimes where it's like, paperwork, you got to send stuff off. You got to be diligent in what it is that you're looking for. And we're talking about being the plug. Of course, coming from me, I want to ask, what are you plugged into? Who are you plugged into? Where do you spend your time? What are you doing with your time and your energy? Because all of that matters when it comes to what it is that you're trying to do. Entrepreneurs are paving ways. So there is something in you that you can literally make a way for yourself, your family, and somebody else. And so diving into that, taking time. I seen this young lady, she posted today on social media that she's going into a dark place, a place that she took herself out of. And I just so happened to be listening to birds chirping on, it was just a Facebook post, and the mama bird came with all the worms lined up in her mouth, fed all the babies, had food for her to get some. Then the dad flew right in and he ate a little food, and then they was just chilling. And I'm sitting here like, wow, that was just a nice little flow of everybody having their role, everybody doing what they have to do. And so I immediately went somewhere with that. I went somewhere with how much we are being triggered. We are being traumatized by the different things that's on social media. How the comparison, the competition, you feeling like you're not where you should be. All of that is taking a toll on your spirit. It's taking a toll on your mind. And so I encourage this young lady, pull back from all of this, all of the noise, all of the you looking at people that you went to school with, they may be a little further than you, or you looking at stuff on TV and all. That's comparison, that's competition, and that does not do well for your spirit or your your mind if you are not even in the right space to be able to move into what it is that you feel like you need to be moving into. So being able to pull back, being able to fast, turn off the social media, turn off the TV. Do you notice that all of these TV shows are constant episodes to keep you just watching and watching? Those shows are not to be binged. You have to understand what is going on around you. These shows that's constantly coming on, that's every week. Maybe you get the stimulation every week, but people are binging and they're taking in all of these emotions. They're taking in sadness, cheating, fighting, toxic, foolishness all day. And so when you're doing that, you're not being a gatekeeper over you. You matter. And so you may have to pull back. These connections matter. Having somebody that know that you may be out the loop and they can call in and check on you, and they ain't always about negativity or gossiping or things like that, but they just know you. So just having those type of people around you, that goes back to what Mr. Charles is saying. Connection matters. So I want you to ask yourself, what are you plugged into? We talking about being a plug. Are you being a plug? What are you plugged into? So that's just something I wanted to leave for, for the listeners that are watching it. Like the stream, everybody, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for all of it. Yes, I love it. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. A lot of good information. Earlier on in the show, Mr. Charles bringing in about the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, and I want him to tell you how you can reach that podcast, what to go to, and how you can connect with him.
Okay. So you can find us on YouTube. We have 76 episodes at Detroit Metro Plug Podcast. Just type that in, Detroit Metro Plug Podcast on YouTube. We have a Facebook page, Detroit Metro Plug Podcast on Facebook. We also have a LinkedIn page, Detroit Metro Plug Podcast on LinkedIn. We also have launched something new for the summer. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur, a thought leader, an influencer, we are doing a book club. It's called the Biz Life Book Club. It's for people who want to meet with like-minded go-getters. We're meeting every second Thursday starting in June, July, and August for the summer, just 3 times.
Oh, nice.
And it's a way for us to connect on the Thursday evening. The book that we selected is by a local native, Lisa House, who's a former state rep and also formerly on the Mayor Duggan staff. So she wrote a book called Candy Mentality.
Okay.
It's about her life and how she, one of her pillars of her that guides her is that it's not a lack of money that's an issue, it's a lack of imagination.
Wow,
and so she sold candy while at Cass Tech, and that money she saved up and raised over $4,000 to help her go her first year in college.
Wow.
Yeah, by selling candy.
Now they be shutting you
And
down.
so,
You can't.
yeah.
You
So-
can't sell candy now. I
So
have
we're
my
gonna read
daughter
that.
on
She
it.
shares that about her life, about that mentality of just
Yeah.
trying to overcoming obstacles and how she dealt with that. And so we're gonna go through that book and have good discussions, networking. So I want to encourage people. You can go on Eventbrite and just type in Biz Life Book Club Summer 2023, and be sure to like and subscribe to the Detroit Metro Plug podcast on YouTube.
Like and subscribe.
Yes. And also like and subscribe Creative Emotions.
Creative Emotions. If this is your first time,
We
make
need
sure
her
you
to
hit
get
that
to
like button.
1,000. We need her to get to 1,000.
Hey,
She's
I said
600.
I wanted to.
Yes. We want you
Definitely.
to grow your influence because you're doing great work here in
I
the city.
appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you and all
Yeah.
what you're doing with the poetry night and the podcast.
Listen, I'm just going with the flow. Going with the flow of life. I want to give a big shout out to those watching. Peaceful Hermit. Shout out to you, Leon Johnson. Thank you so much. Ebony K. Thank you. Yes, that's important. Ebony K said, never thought about that because I binge watch because whenever I have time to watch TV, I try to catch up. I get it. But honey, that's getting up in your spirit. I'm telling you. You got to watch it. I did that before. I was watching This Is Us, I think it was. And I was at work and wasn't really, working like that. So I'm like, shoot, I can catch up. When I tell you for a week and a half, I was sad.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
crying. I didn't even know why I was crying. Like, what's wrong? That stuff was so intense.
Okay.
That it had me off. Like, you got to be careful with what you watching. What's going in your eye gate? What's constantly going in your ear gate? The music. When I heard those birds earlier, it did something to my heart. Like, I was just like, oh my God, I just let it play. I let it play. I listen to meditation music a lot because that's what I do to, quiet my mind, quiet myself, get myself together. But I was at work and I heard them bird sounds and my heart just felt like it was like a breath of, like, I can't even explain it. Like, I just felt something in my heart. Like, that's our natural, I would say, entertainment. Like, you can walk out of the city streets into a wooded area and it will be quiet, like silence. And then you will get the freshest air ever in the trees. We getting away from where we started, and that's why I posted that earlier. And then it's just like to see people so down, people so depressed. It's like, let me be that plug. Let me be that plug that's gonna speak life to you. Get you back motivated. Let you know about yourself. Once we understand who we are and who we are in this world, we'll be able to maneuver the right way. But if we're trying to be a counterfeit, if we're trying to be like other people, then we're really doing a disservice. So I always, encourage people in that. And so, while we're closing it up, can you think about your most memorable guest?
Wow.
When you think about that, I'll start. So I had this lady who was blind, but she became blind. And she said she wanted to do a podcast for other people who are blind or who have become blind. She wanted to do a podcast. She wanted to do a show for those who may be handicapped. And that just blessed my heart. She was telling everybody. I think I had the most views on that show with this lady, and she inspired me so much. Just, having something and then having it taken away, we have no idea. And so I would say for me, that was my most memorable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man, I have so many interesting guests. Well, I know when we hit the 50th episode, that was a milestone, and it was my friend from college. He was on the show, and he was talking about his nonprofit, which was
was it the guy that was at your party?
Yeah, black. Yeah, he has a nonprofit called Reconstruction Now. Yeah,
he was talking about he couldn't be on your show, and then he couldn't get in because you was all booked up.
Right. Well, we were all very jokesters.
Yeah,
we were very sarcastic, so I knew that everything he was just, But that was a fun show. But I had so many different guests. But that one got a lot of views, and I've interviewed authors. I interviewed Dennis Reed.
Yeah. They all be good.
He talked about his film production here, and he's building his studio, which he got a studio in Oak Park. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The Crown Plaza building.
Listen, give a shout out to those in
but
film.
anyways,
y'all been killing the game.
Yeah, he was
y'all been killing the game. All the actors, the producers, all y'all killing the game.
I had some but the 50th one was a nice milestone to just do something consistently and get 50 episodes, 50 guests. So we're gonna hit 100. So. Yeah.
You got that. Big shout out to Midday Vibes Podcast.
Yes.
Checking in. Midday Vibes Podcast, come on Wednesdays at 2:00. Podcastic. Give them a shout out. I see you, Ebony K. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. But I see you have a passion to serve, and one of your mottos, I think I hosted your party.
Yeah.
And one of your mottos was outgive.
Right.
And so
go giver.
What is it?
Go giver.
A go giver. So if you can just speak a little bit about, I thought that was so dope. Just a little bit about
it's
that.
It's actually from a book called The Go Giver. You can find that on Amazon. They just talk about basically the premise of the book is that you can do good by helping others.
Yes.
And you can make a living, a good living by helping others. And sometimes as a go-getter, not necessarily that's a bad thing. Sometimes, you could step over people to try to get what you want. But if you position yourself by considering others and helping others, and no matter what, speak kind to people, no matter what level, because you never know.
Yeah.
The security guard can be the next boss. You never know who. I approach everybody as though they're gonna be big time someday. You never know. I don't look down on nobody.
That's what's up.
And so I just had that giving spirit.
Yeah.
And I know how to have boundaries, not to have to be taken advantage of.
For sure.
But my motivation is I ain't out to try to get nobody, get over nobody. I just want to be a blessing.
And
to
it feels
whoever.
good too.
Yeah.
It feels so good to give. It feels so good to see a person in need and be able to feel that need.
Right.
And not want anything back. It's like,
right.
When I was able to help somebody, I'm like, what you need? I start calling them to see
Right.
what more I can get. Like, it was just
Right.
a feeling like, that's why it's so much better to give than receive on a lot of levels, and we just have to be mindful of that. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for joining. I thank you so much, Charles, for coming. This has been a great opportunity.
Right.
I know we were supposed to be here last week, but we had some technical difficulties.
Right.
But we just go with the flow. Everything
Right.
happened for a reason. We don't worry about that. We go with the flow. Again, I just want to leave you with a few things. Being a plug can be looked at as a resource, but I pose that question again today. What are you plugged into spiritually? What is your entertainment, your career choice, your friendships, your extracurricular activities, your resources? Take this opportunity to see exactly what you're plugged into. Thank you guys so much for joining this evening. It's been a pleasure. If this is your first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like after you listen. Make sure if you're not doing anything this Friday, you come down to 21573 Grand River. It is Poetry and Conversations where we have open mic poetry. We have a feature for the night, and we have good conversations. So listen. I thank you guys so much for joining. I love you, and there is nothing you can do about that. See you next week.